Hi everyone, Baby Spinach Salad here, the internet's busiest music nerd, and it's time for a review of this new Bladee album, Spiderr. Yes, this is a new album from Swedish rapper, singer, songwriter, flagship artist of the Drain Gang collective, Bladee, fresh off of his recent and very high-quality collaboration with Echo 2K, Crest, which was handily my favorite Bladee-related project yet. But when it comes to his solo work, Bladee has also slowly but surely been making strides. I know there are many fans out there that enjoy earlier releases, such as Red Light, for example, but personally I find a lot of what he's doing more recently to be a lot more interesting than the super glossy trap instrumentals and deadpan rap singing on that project. And that's kind of interesting because while Bladee has evolved quite a bit since that record and others in his back catalog, he has simultaneously maintained a lot of the odd, somewhat awkward, and very idiosyncratic qualities about his performance style, even as he and producer White Armor flirt with the sounds of drill with the skittering hi-hats and bass on the intro track Understatement, or the sudden pop-punk shift on I Am Slowly But Surely Losing Hope. I suppose in a way the gender-bent futurism that has always been there in Blade's work in some capacity is really boiling over on this record in the best way. And now it's happening with more accessible tunes and fleshed out song structures. The maturation of Blade's songwriting was really showing on the last LP that he dropped, The Fool, and it's most definitely been continuing on to Spiderr. Now granted, there are some moments on this LP that I think run a little one-dimensional or brief, whether it's the very assuring it's okay to not be okay, which is a sweet little motif laced with these icy guitars and keys, just blissfully blipping for a minute or so, and yeah, the whole sentiment of the track really just kind of comes down to the message of the title. There is the kind of brief Icarus 3 style, which provides a few minutes of lyrical food for thought from Bladee, sitting on top of this very overloaded beat with a lot of dense shots of bass. On this track lyrically, he makes reference to his free-flowing creative process, caring more about the little things in life, and not being idolized as a person, just wanting to be regular and normal and go on the bus and hit up the grocery store. Disaster Prelude with Echo 2K, I suppose, is an alright centerpiece for the record. Bladee and Echo's respective performances aren't nearly as animated as I hoped they would be, especially given some of the highlights off Crest. Plus, I think the particularly lo-fi production on this track kind of dulls the color and size of the whole thing. It comes off just a bit too muted. And as long as I'm talking about wanting more, there's also the ambient pop of Blue Crush Angel. The hushed and auto-tuned vocal leads on this track feel like a very quiet and serene internal monologue, but I still wish the track had a stronger climax. Things do build up a bit past the intro for sure, but the track ultimately ends up finishing on a stagnation point. But beyond these tracks though, this album does have more highlights on it than I found on most Bladee records. There is Understatement that I mentioned earlier. There's something so hype and yet hypnotic about how this futuristic, drill-inspired beat syncs up with Blade's slightly monotone mellow raps. The pop-punk Losing Hope that I talked about earlier also has more punch and more momentum than many other tracks here. And it's not the only track that goes in a guitar-driven direction, too, because there is Velociraptor with its buzzing synthesizers and very aggressive perks. Seasoned with these crunched-up guitar fragments, it is easily one of the biggest bangers here. Not to mention Bladee brings an especially animated vocal performance, throwing out all this surreal poetry featuring evocative bits of imagery regarding perseverance and emotional waves. And the aggression on this track contrasts really nicely with the sparkling synth pop on the very enchanting Dresden ER. I should also mention Haha, which is easily Blade's most unhinged track ever. We have a jittery beat on this track, a rush of electrifying synths, and all of these cracked shouts of I'm crazy, I'm crazy, I'm crazy, 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 crazy. There's almost an emo vibe coming off of some of the vocal lines on this cut too. Bladee is just going off with all these chaotic and energized raps, making lots of cryptic references to like having a mask over his mask, and we eventually transition into a closing mantra of I'm doing great, which I suppose is supposed to contrast from the I'm Crazy intro. Then the super dreamy, beautiful, and serene closing track on this LP I think is as good a finisher as you could have asked for. Yeah, overall I really enjoyed this project. While there were some pockets that I was hoping for more from in terms of either a better, clearer sound or a bit more length or structure, the ratio of great tracks on this thing is pretty high. Plus on top of it, I think Bladee pretty easily proved just how versatile this whole, like, you know, drained aesthetic, this style, this sound that is packed abstract and everything that he does is. As long as he and White Armor or whoever else is going about it in the right way, he could pretty much approach any genre to his desire and sort of twist it into his own thing and sort of make it function within his world. And there's a special talent required to be able to do that sort of thing. I'm feeling a decent 2 strong 7 on this one. Transition, have you given this record a listen? Did you love it? Did you hate it? What would you rate it? You're the best, you're the best. What should I review next? Hit the like if you like. Please subscribe and please don't cry. Hit the bell as well. Over here next to my head, it's another video that you can check out. Hit that up or the link to subscribe to the channel. Anthony Fantano, Blade, forever.